a lot of question now, in the Boston, New England area. And I think, honestly, in national media news, national sports media news, people are questioning Bill Belichick and, historically, his numbers, his winning record, whatever the case may be. Is he actually, a good, great, the best head coach of all time? And I said this last season. Belichick defensively, I'll never question, because we've seen where he steps up defensively and coaches a phenomenal game. 2 Rams Super Bowls, the greatest show on turf, and I think they scored 33 points a game in 2018, the Los Angeles Rams. Shut him down. Completely shut him down. However, that was with Tom Brady. That was with Tom Brady with a great throw to Gronk and then Sony Michel running up the middle to basically win that game. Also a couple missed kicks, but I think, by then they were out of it entirely, essentially. But you know what? Good job to Belichick. Brady set that up, pushed him past the win, whatever the case may be. I remember earlier this offseason, right? Bill Belichick sort of made a sly comment about the fact, when he was asked about being 27th in cash spending, this season. He was called a Robert Kraft. He's like, Robert Kraft signs the checks or whatever. And Robert Kraft, I believe this was a July quote. Bill Belichick has never come to me and not gotten everything he wanted from a cash spending perspective. We have never set limits. Money spending will never be the issue, I promise you, or I'll sell the team. So clearly, Robert Kraft is making the case with the fact that, it's not the fact that I'm saying I won't pay money for these guys. It's Belichick's, scouting, and it's Belichick's decision whether or not he actually wants these players. This is Julian Edelman, I believe it was yesterday, on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd on FS1, talking about Bill Belichick and this Patriots team.
I think he needs a little help on the offensive side. I mean, you look at the defensive picks, they all look pretty good. I mean, they always come out and they perform. The Christian Gonzalez kid, before he got hurt, looked like he was playing good. We have whiffed, and I hate talking about coach like this, but we have whiffed on a lot of offensive skill position players, starting from, I don't want to call guys out, but there are 3-4 receivers when I was playing that we got in top rounds that,
you knew early.
You look in camp, and you can always see from a guy that's drafted high. You see one trait. They're raw, but you could see one trait. Oh, yep, that's a first rounder. You're looking, and I was like, what's going on here? That's not a first rounder. I don't know what's going on. So I think he would be the first to tell you that he's had some screw ups. He's a very accountable guy, and I do think that that they probably do need a little more help on the offensive side of scouting.
I don't know if accountable is the way that I would describe Bill Belichick. I mean, look at last season. No one really took accountability for that horrible offense. Really, no one did. I was hoping Matt Patricia would come say, we're going to make some changes. This is on me. This is on coaching. This is something we need to work on, and I really never heard that. But Julian Edelman makes great points. And obviously, one of the players he's talking about, one of those wide receivers that clearly didn't have it, that was drafted, in the top rounds, was N'Keal Harry, drafted first in the first round, picked 32 in 2019. One of the worst picks Bill Belichick maybe has ever had. I've showed this graphic before, but I'll say this right now. Bill Belichick cannot draft wide receivers. Since 2010, Taylor Price in the 3rd round, Jeremy Ebert in the 7th round, Josh Boyce in the 4th, Aaron Dobson in the 2nd, Jeremy Gallen in the 7th round, Devin Lucien in the 7th round, Malcolm Mitchell, who I liked a lot, who had potential, retired after 1 year, in the 4th round, Braxton Berrios, a special teams guy, in the 6th, N'Keal Harry in the 1st, Trey Nixon in the 7th, Tyquan Thornton in the 2nd, you got Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte, I believe both in the 6th round. I mean, we'll have to wait and see Demario Douglas right now actually probably, at least rating-wise, has been the best Patriots receiver this season. Kayshon Boutte had a very promising game, except he couldn't catch a single ball because of 2, toe touches that he couldn't really get, that lost the game basically for the Patriots in week 1. But, there was something there at least. I mean, outside of that, Braxton Berrios is a special teams guy. N'Keal Harry, he was terrible. Malcolm Mitchell retired after 1 season, but looked really good in that 1 season with Tom Brady. Belichick has done a horrible job drafting offensive talent in the past over a decade at this point. Julian Edelman and Gronk may be, the 2 best draft picks Belichick's had in recent memory. Think about this. Bill Belichick's head coaching record without Tom Brady, 80-92. 2 playoff appearances, 1 playoff win. I think, honestly, if we take a look at it by Bill Belichick's standards, if he was the owner of the New England Patriots, he would fire himself. He would fire himself. Now, here's a problem that I think Robert Kraft's going to need to weigh out. Can you fire Belichick, the GM, while also retaining Belichick, the head coach? I don't think you can. I think if you fire Bill Belichick, the GM, you also fire Bill Belichick, the head coach. I do not think, he'll want his power to be stripped from him and then still stay there, just don't have, the GM rights. He's been an absolute failure on the offensive side of picking the ball. He doesn't really get offense. It's the Greg Popovich, really, where, the 3 ball is out there, you just don't really develop it. You don't really, emphasize it. Bill Belichick, this game has transitioned from running game and defense, which Bill Belichick was an expert in early on in the early 2000s and in the 1990s and 80s. Now it's offensive, quarterback, receiver, tight end, offensive line. And we're dealing with injuries. Injuries are a minor part of it, but just talent overall, lackluster, washed wide receivers, not good wide receivers, especially ones who don't separate. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, you got rid of Jacoby Myers. This blew my mind. You got rid of Jacoby Myers, who actually, we saw in the Raiders game, still has a lot of separation. Mac Jones' crucial third down target. They got basically the same exact contract. Yet you got Juju, who has a history of injuries and was dealing with an injury just the prior year, and you outbid the Chiefs. The Chiefs just won a Super Bowl with him as their slot receiver, as a huge part of their offense. He was actually the guy who they called the defensive holding on to basically set up a Chiefs victory in that Super Bowl. You outbid the Chiefs for him. That had to give signs. Devontae Parker has been the worst receiver separation-wise for the past 3-4 seasons. He can't separate. He's terrible. He's not good. Kendrick Bourne is a promising receiver, but he's not a wide receiver 1. He might be a low-tier wide receiver 2. In reality, he's a wide receiver 3. I like him. He's probably my favorite receiver on the Patriots. But outside of that, they got nobody. Pop Douglas is interesting. He's young. He's been dealing with injuries. Kayshon Boutte, I don't know what's wrong with him. I've tried to look it up. I've seen a couple healthy scratches. I don't get it. You got Jalen Reagor. You traded for him. He hasn't made an appearance. What are we doing here? Now, here's the thing. We saw in I believe it was the 2021 offseason, right? You draft Mac Jones. Then you spend like $150 million in like a day or two on Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry and all these pieces. Jonnu Smith's gone. Hunter Henry is a B-plus tight end. It's basically wasted money. Wasted money. Now, will Belichick bring somebody in? I think that's what Julian Edelman's talking about here. I don't know if he will, but even if he does, we literally take a look at the coaching staff. It's friends, it's family, and former draft picks. The offensive line coach, Adrian Clem, I believe coached at Oregon the last season. He was a former second-round draft pick from Bill Belichick. He brought back Josh McDaniels. I guess he kept Josh McDaniels for a long time. Let him go. You bring back Matt Patricia and you bring back Joe Judge, who respectively were horrible head coaches. God-awful head coaches. Made quarterbacks and made the overall team significantly worse. Joe Judge as a head coach made Daniel Jones with a 26th ranked quarterback. We saw what the Lions look like with Matt Patricia. I mean, Darius Slay didn't like him. A bunch of players didn't like him coaching. You know what Belichick said? Come on back. We'll make you offensive coaches. Huh? Special teams, defensive coaches. That does not equate to offensive coaching talent. Hell, it was actually very detrimental. I said, not this offseason, the offseason beforehand, so before the monstrosity that was last season, that the year 2 for quarterbacks is the most crucial year for quarterback development. And I really think Belichick screwed him over. Belichick screwed Mac Jones over by giving him a defensive coach and a special teams coordinator as his quarterback coach and offensive line and offensive play caller. It's bad. It was very, very bad. Belichick seemingly has this ideology, and this is well known. He's going to get off a guy 1 year early than 1 year late. And that's what happened with Tom Brady. He drafted one real replacement and one potential replacement, rumored replacement. The one would be obviously Jimmy G. He really wanted Jimmy G to be the starting quarterback back in 2017. And Tom Brady went to Robert Kraft and said, yo, I'm the QB for the team. And Robert Kraft said, yeah, you are. They got rid of Jimmy G. Then they got Jarrett Stidham. Now, I understand Jarrett Stidham is not a quarterback one, but they drafted him in the 4th round and, gave him nicknames. Belichick didn't give Brady a nickname, but, I think Belichick really liked Jarrett Stidham. Then he got Cam Newton late in 2020. It was bad. There was no plan B. Hell, I guarantee you, if Tom Brady they traded the pick away to Seattle, which ultimately ended up being DK Metcalf. If the Patriots used that draft pick on DK Metcalf, I guarantee you Brady would have still been there. Because there were no weapons, N'Keal Harry, and all these random pieces that the Patriots had. There was nobody in 2019. Julian Edelman, I believe, led the league in drops. He was also banged up all the time. There was nobody there. Gronk retired. Brady goes to Tampa, brings Gronk out of retirement. The Bucs, with their first pick in that draft Tristan Wirfs to help Tom Brady. You got Leonard Fournette. You got Julio Jones. You got Antonio Brown. Tom Brady brought all these pieces because he's Tom Brady. Because players know that when you have Tom Brady, you could win games. As soon as Brady left that organization, there was a life force that got sucked out of that building. Because now, Brady being that scapegoat, Brady being the player to say, hey, we got this. We're going to win a bunch of games. Let's just hold in there. Let's just go through what Belichick wants, and let's move forward. Let's win. Let's go out and play for a Super Bowl. Who was there? Devin McCourty and Matthew Slater were the only people there, and I guess David Andrews, that were there to say, all right, let's get this going. But it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the reason why the Patriots won. In my opinion, Tom Brady was at least 80% of the Patriots' success. At least. Because if the defense really was that dominant, if it really was, why would Tom Brady need 6 game-winning drives in the 4th quarter or overtime? Why? To me, that doesn't make any sense. If your defense is really that dominant, you should be shutting down teams in the Super Bowl. Now, the first 3 seasons, although Super Bowl, it was the second Brady Super Bowl, the defense in that second half, there was no defense in the second half. That was Brady's offensive Super Bowl. I think they won 32-29 against the Panthers. There was no defense in that second. The first half, well, I think it was a very, very low score. That second half, or maybe only in the 4th quarter, there was no defense. Yes, the greatest show on turf and 2018 Super Bowl, yes, those were defensive masterpieces. I'll give Belichick that. But outside of that, they benched Malcolm Butler in 2017 against the Eagles for unknown reasons. The rumored reason was because practice, him and Matt Patricia got into it. And, for a punishment, we'll bench you in the Super Bowl. Nick Foles put up a huge number on him. I think it was 42 points, something like that. Brady threw 505 yards and couldn't win because your defense couldn't stop Nick Foles. I mean, come on here. So Belichick needs a lot of help. I don't think anyone's going to dispute that. I don't think anyone, is going to argue. Belichick needs some sort of help. If I was Robert Kraft, this would be the moment where I'm saying, hey, get someone, make a move, trade for someone, go out and just get somebody. But you can't right now. D-Hop was in, you had a chance to sign D-Hop, but didn't want to give him $13 million a year. OBJ was out there. You didn't want to give him a lot of money. There are receivers out there that Belichick had an opportunity to get. Hell, even try to trade for one. Think about it, right? The Panthers are outwardly saying, we need a wide receiver. We are open to trading for a wide receiver. Joe Judge gave players jerseys saying, it's all on us, nobody is coming. What? This team is terrible. What do you mean nobody's coming? It's bad. It's bad in New England. And I really think this, I called it last season. I said Belichick retires last season as one of my Harvey hot takes. Maybe I was a year too soon. Maybe this season, Belichick won't retire. Instead, Robert Kraft will fire him. And I think, honestly, we're getting to that point. I understand historically, right? Belichick, the 6 Super Bowls, great cut, whatever the case may be. His ideology is outdated completely. It's obsolete. Pete Carroll is, a year or two older than Bill Belichick. He's had to change his system and his ideology and his team 4 times. And he's found success in each one of those time periods. Belichick has had a slight 1 season with the Browns where he made the playoffs. Then right now, outside of that, what has he been? Mediocre without Brady. actually under 500 without Brady, with one playoff appearance where they couldn't stop Josh Allen, who scored on 7 straight drives. 7 straight touchdown drives. It's bad. They didn't have a plan B for Tom Brady. They didn't want to pay him. Belichick didn't believe Brady had anything left. Well, newsflash, he went out and won a Super Bowl and probably should have made a second one if Antoine Winfield Jr. doesn't decide, or the miscommunication in the NFC Championship game, I think it was the NFC Championship game against the, it might have been the divisional. I forget which game it was. Bucks Rams. Cooper Kupp runs up the middle of the field. Antoine Winfield can't catch up with them. Brady had a great season. It was probably maybe one of, if not the best season Brady's had at 44 years old. I really think I think it's Belichick's time. It's sad to say that, but I think we need to start playing funeral music for Bill Belichick and realize that his ideology is not good. In today's NFL, it doesn't work. It's completely outdated. It's bad. It's very, very bad. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.